Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast. Now, as we all begin to venture outside again, I think the biggest relief for most of us in this post-lockdown world is the ability to finally see our loved ones again. And if I go back to Christmas Eve in 2018, I spoke with the CEO and founder of a company called GrandPad. Now, back then, the world was quite different to what we have recently experienced. But even then, I noticed that senior relatives were slowly being left behind in a digital society. But Scott created GrandPad in an attempt to tear down this digital divide that was growing. And after that conversation, he sent me a GrandPad for my 86-year-old father-in-law. And what I witnessed was his eyes lighting up and his world expand as he could now not only just browse through family photos in real time as we sent them, but he could also listen to the radio or check the horse racing results. But what struck me was most seniors just don't have any of that at their fingertips. They're essentially shut out of this world that we all take for granted. But of course now, I think that we all recognise after 3-4 months of lockdown that the people that we love the most didn't have access to smartphones, iPads, Wi-Fi, Zoom calls, or the ability to just receive a photo or video message. So for that reason alone, I invited Scott back onto the podcast for a quick catch-up. So buckle up and hold on tight so I can beam your ears all the way to California in the US, where Scott is waiting to speak with us right now. So a massive warm welcome back to the podcast. Can you tell the listeners that missed our previous conversation a little about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me back, Dale. I'm Scott Lean. I'm the CEO and co-founder of GrandPad. My 25-year-old son and I founded the company over 6 years ago, and we are squarely focused on improving the lives of millions of super seniors, those folks over the age of 75, by reconnecting them with their family, friends, and caregivers, and using our custom-built tablet-based solution, our software, our customer care, and the whole solution to reconnect those families together again, which is, of course, more important than ever right now. So we're all about bringing families together, improving the lives of seniors. And our slogan is keep your family closer.
Fantastic. And we did last speak, it's hard for me to believe actually, but it was back in 2018. And after that podcast, you very kindly sent my 86-year-old father-in-law a GrandPad, and he absolutely loves it. But for anyone that missed our first chat, and it was in a very different time, where the world was slightly different. I mean, here we're both, 5,000 miles apart, and we're both just coming out of lockdown. Our world is very different. But can you bring everyone up to speed with exactly what GrandPad is?
You know, we start out with a fundamental premise that all the super seniors, those folks over the age of 75, like your 86-year-old father-in-law, they deserve to have a solution that was designed explicitly for them. You know, this iPhone that I'm holding in my hand, that was designed for my age group. You know, people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, maybe 50s. Some of the buttons as I'm 55 are getting a little hard to see on there, but no one had ever taken the time to design something from scratch, from the ground up, for someone who, like your father-in-law, was 86. So that's what we did. And it was the entire user experience. The hardware, which is a tablet, it has lots of unique features like wireless inductive charging, a docking station. So I'm curious, in your father-in-law's case, you know, does he use that docking station? Does he like it? He could just set it there, right? He doesn't have a hard to plug in little lightning connector USB, right?
Yeah, so he operates it perfectly. We don't get any calls at all. And what I also love about what you guys do as well, if for some reason he's forgot to put it on charge, a member of your team will give him a little message and say, would you mind just popping it back on charge so you don't run out of charge? So, and he just loves that. It's next level customer service. It really is.
Yeah, that's a great example of the whole user experience that we've designed, that we know sometimes maybe someone will forget to charge it, and it sends off an alert to our customer care once it gets down below 10% and says, hey, why don't you check in with Mr. Smith and see, maybe it came unplugged or whatever. And it's just a friendly courtesy call, and we help them through that, right? We know that sadly many folks in the age group might have a bit of dementia, so we're gonna help them through that and be there for them. So that's the example of this high tech, so built-in automatic data and alerting married with high touch, the customer care that's going to reach out proactively. They're not in a hurry. They're lovely. Our customer care folks are lovely folks that love to spend time with seniors. They love to chat with them. They speak clearly so that they're able to be heard. But the tablet, to finish on some of the features, has dozens of unique features that were based on our deep understanding of this age group. And we, instead of trying to guess and figure that out, because none of myself and none of my engineering or design team, none of us have been 90 before. None of us know what it's like to maybe have some of the physical or mental impairments that a 90-year-old might have, whether it's dexterity issues or eyesight issues or hearing issues. So we have a whole team of Grand Advisors. So they're employees, part of our team. All of these folks are in their 80s, 90s, and 100s. We even have one gentleman, Elmer, who is 106 years old, and just a fantastic guy. And they're part of the whole design and product development process, from early idea to the actual development and iterating on the designs, all the way through the testing. So we know that by the time it gets out to the field to someone like your father-in-law, it's been tried and tested and frankly developed by our group of Grand Advisors. It was built for seniors by seniors.
And it's so true in what you're saying there, because on the other side of it, my father-in-law recently said to me during this lockdown period where we've not been able to see each other, of course, that one of the things that actually kept him going was be able to sit down at the end of the night and he looks at GrandPad and it plays like a slideshow of all the photographs that we've been sending of our kids and grandkids and great-grandkids. And it struck me how something like this is that what we all take for granted on our Facebook feeds and we check in throughout the day, but older generations have almost been completely locked out of that world. I'm curious, is that the kind of feedback that you've received from users?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we call that the digital divide, right? That because no one else has taken the time to design a solution that this age group really can love and enjoy, oftentimes they're left out. Or sometimes, their loving son with great intentions will give dad an iPad and try to teach him and try to show him, but dad really struggles with it, and dad is frustrated by that. But now he feels guilty because his son gave him this and he really wants to use it. But what that does when they struggle with something that wasn't designed for them, and the icons and all the buttons are too small and they have macular degeneration, no fault of theirs, it erodes their self-confidence. It makes them feel bad, and it contributes to this feeling of loneliness and isolation. And it makes them feel like, yep, the whole world has passed me by. I'm an older person and I can't connect into this world that's going on around me. What we do is create something that they love, and then they can be connected into that world and they can participate. And we see that it really gives them a boost and energizes them. And even, we're getting tons of great feedback now during this COVID lockdown time where people are so isolated, and we'll hear things like we've got a testimonial that said, knowing that my GrandPad is there and that I'm going to see new pictures of my grandkids or get emails from my family every morning, it's a reason for me to get up and get out of bed in the morning, right? Because they know that GrandPad is sitting there in the kitchen and they're going to go out and see a bunch of pictures of their grandkids every morning.
Oh, it's beautiful. It really is what you've created here. And although this is, yes, it's another tech device, one of the things I always say at the end of every podcast episode is technology works best when it brings people together. And another thing I love about what you're doing here is your team at GrandPad ring your customers every week. And in our case, it's somebody called Joyce. I'm not sure if you know Joyce. She's based in Ireland, but she's almost become a part of the family, a friend of the family.
Thank you for that. We love Joyce. And whole team. She exemplifies what we want in our customer care team for sure.
But I'm curious, was that important for you to get the balance right between tech and that human touch?
Absolutely. From the beginning, we knew that great customer service, we actually called member experience inside the company, that creating a great experience for all of our members who are part of the GrandPad family, and that's the seniors and the children, like yourself, we call it the adult children and the whole family circle. Having that customer care, and it's there 7 by 24 by 365. You can ring us up anytime, and we're always there. We know that that's so important. And we've done all kinds of things in our customer care experience also that we think are really important. So, when you call the bank or the insurance company or someone, it's press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 16 for that, enter your customer number. They just run you through the gauntlet. Then after 20 minutes of frustration, then you finally get routed into a human being, and then they ask you for your customer number again, right? We've all had that experience, and it's hard to hear, and maybe the person on the other end is a million miles away and doesn't really understand your local situation there in London or wherever you are. Our customer service, there's never press 1 for this, 2 for that. It's always a human being that answers. Thank you for calling GrandPad. How can I help? As you pointed out, for all the folks who call us from the UK or Ireland, they're going to speak to people there in Ireland. They understand, the weather and what's going on in that part of the world. For the folks in the United States, when they ring up, they're talking to someone in the United States. So, and we call people back. We actually do not measure call handling time. Most companies, they push their employees, get people off the phone as quick as you can. We answer the question, have a chat. That's part of what you're paying for. You're paying for an experience that includes the hardware, the software, and the service. And that service is the customer care, but it's also the data, 4G LTE data, unlimited data that's included as part of it. So all of those things to create a great experience.
And we've talked about that great experience that you've created and how easily anybody, any member of the family can send photos of their children or anything at all to make them feel part of this digital society and bust down that digital divide. But is there anything else that you can share about the new capabilities of the GrandPad?
Yeah, so several things since you and I chatted last couple of years ago. So we now have what we call the Simple Safe browser. So, and all these things are configurable and can be turned on or off by the senior, by the family, or by our customer care team. But the Simple Safe browser is exactly that. It lets you browse the internet, but done in a really easy way. You don't have to type www.blah/blah blah. You, as the loving son-in-law in this case, you might see something that you want to put on Dad's GrandPad. You, from the convenience of your companion app, the GrandPad companion app on your iPhone, you can just basically push this URL to him and it shows up. He clicks on a nice friendly icon and now he can see. So as an example, my mother-in-law during this lockdown period, she really misses going to her church service every Sunday morning. No problem. I was able to find the URL for her church service, put that there. Now on Sunday morning, she can just press that and stream and watch the church service. So Simple Safe browser, and really opens up the whole world of the World Wide Web, and including things like healthcare information. The other one I would highlight, we're just in the process of rolling out now, is AM/FM radio station. So streaming radio stations. So seniors love to listen to the radio. Sadly, some of the radios, both home radios and the radios in the car, are not very friendly design. Plus, you have people that maybe travel and they want to listen to the radio station from their hometown. It's right there, just a big icon with the name. They can click on it and just streams it out. And that's a great example of something we learned with our Grand Advisors. We thought, wow, radio stations would be good. People want to listen to them to be entertained and educated. But we learned one of the reasons that seniors have the radio on every morning in their houses. Many of them are in a big house just by themselves. Their spouse has passed away. So it's to reduce loneliness, isolation. And one of our Grand Advisors, she said, the fellow on the radio talks to me and I talk back to him. We have a conversation. She said, I'm not crazy. I'm not talking to myself, but it's someone who's friendly, who I know is going to be there every morning. He's going to tell me the weather, the news. Even one of the things that's really important to them is to hear the obituaries, to find out, have any of their friends passed away. So radio station is a new one. We're always adding new games. We've got a whole litany of great games, be it solitaire, blackjack, slots, free cell, bingo, hearts, bridge, a whole bunch of games we're always adding to that list. We are also just in the process of rolling out. We've always had video calls from the start. Hopefully you've used that in your family. Yeah, we're always adding new things.
Love that. And you used a great phrase there, how you're opening up the world for them. And that I've seen that happen first time. And yes, to begin with, my father-in-law was happy with just being able to see the photos and things. But then as his mind expands, he's like, well, can I have West Midlands Smooth Radio on here? And then the other day, a couple of weeks ago, he said to me, can I get the horse racing results on here? And it was like, it was all just coming together for him. And again, I just thought that previously you were completely locked out of that world. And it's quite sad, isn't it?
It is. I mean, this lockdown has been terribly, terribly hard on all these wonderful elderly folks. My aunt Viola in Iowa, she's been locked down in her facility. She's in a nursing home for coming up on 4 months now. 4 months, and she's in a room that's about 15 feet by 15 feet, all by herself. There's a lovely staff there. They bring her meals, but she basically has been in that one room for 4 months, right? No family can see her. Luckily, she has GrandPad. We beam in and talk to her all the time. And she's a wonderfully optimistic, upbeat person, but it's hard on her. It's really hard on her. And so I'll do things now. We live here near a beautiful river and kind of park area. I'll go for walks on my phone and just talk to her and put my phone out, and I'm giving her a tour of the outside world because she hasn't been outside for 4 months, and she'll be like, wow, I can hear the birds singing. I can see the sun setting on the river, these things, and it just lifts the spirit. So we're using technology to bring people together and help bring some comfort and joy to these people who are locked in, and that's on the family connection and kind of social engagement side. But then what's also happened during this time period is just a huge benefit to the healthcare community. So GrandPad is used both in the direct-to-consumer model, as you are in your family, but then in the B2B or enterprise with large healthcare organizations where doctors, nurses, home health, and home care workers integrate GrandPad into their service. So where they're using telehealth as a way for the doctors to connect with the seniors, and it's a solution that they provide. So we offer both of those models.
And I'm curious, how has the COVID-19 and the global pandemic, how's that impacted your company? Because I would imagine that a lot of people are waking up to the fact that their senior relatives need this kind of technology and that personal touch in their life to make things easier. But has that been the case?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been, and we feel very, very fortunate, and we're honored to help be part of the solution. But it all, the short answer is business is booming for us. We're working around the clock to keep up, and we're just so glad to be able to help so many seniors and their families and the healthcare professionals. It all started on March 10th here. We got a post on Twitter of a lovely lady, the adult child or the daughter of the grandpa who was using GrandPad. The senior, he was in the Kirkland, Washington care facility, which in the United States was kind of ground zero, where the media really kind of picked up and said, hey, there's this new thing called the coronavirus that's starting to affect all these seniors in this care facility. And she posted this on March 10th that said, thank you, GrandPad, for connecting our family during this very difficult time. My father has challenges and he can't use any standard technology. Me and my sister used to go visit him every day. Now we can't because he's locked down. So we are using GrandPad to connect with him, and it's just been a lifesaver. And because of some of his health issues, he had a lot of anxiety. And the fact think about that, all of a sudden, if your daughter comes and visits you every day in the nursing home, and all of a sudden one day she stops coming, and if you have some cognitive challenges, you think, well, does my daughter not love me anymore? What happened? Did something bad happen to her? Was she in a car accident? Right? And the fact that he could see her face on the video call, and we even have a feature called auto answer with the right consents. It'll just ring right through, and the daughter's able to just beam in because he sadly was not able to touch the screen, but she would just beam right in and say, "Hey, Dad, I'm right here." And they would just have a chat, and she would just be with him for hours, her and her sisters. So that started on March 10th. And so what is that? April, May, June, 3 months ago. And it's just been straight up booming since then. And just hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories like that now, of testimonials come in. And sadly, in some cases, quite urgent phone calls. We might get a call from a healthcare business that says, we have all these seniors that are locked down in their homes. We normally used to go visit them. We can't any longer. We need to get GrandPads in their hands. Can you help us? And I had one chief medical officer tell me, this was back in the end of March, and we were having meetings on a Sunday on Zoom, of course. He said, Scott, if you can't help us, if you can't get these GrandPads shipped to us this week, people likely are going to die because we're not going to be able to provide the care to them that's needed. They were doing things like they were remotely administering their medications. Yeah. And so someone that needed help with that, and because of the lockdowns, and they were quite stringent at that time, they couldn't send a care worker into the home. There wasn't PPE available, so they knew that they might be putting the people at risk. So they were, we shipped these things out, got them, and got them all rolled out. And 2 weeks later, he's like, "Yeah, this has been a lifesaver." So it's been a frantic time. It's been a exhausting time, but it's been extraordinarily rewarding, and we're just very thankful that we could help in a small way.
And I know you've got a big audience in the US. I've recently read that you've got a big expansion in the UK and Ireland. But can you tell me a little bit more about that since we last spoke, and what other regions that you're currently supporting as well?
Yeah, we are focused on the United States, Ireland, and the UK in terms of the tablet that the seniors use, because part of the tablet is also having great high quality 4G LTE data connectivity. So we're very thoughtful to test that in each of the regions that we operate. And then the second part is where we talked about, is having great high quality customer care available 24/7, in that region. So we obviously have set up those customer care centers and they're all our employees. So those are the three countries for the seniors, but the family members who use our free companion app on their iPhone or Android phone or on their laptop, we have those users in 73 countries around the world.
Wow.
And so, we support those folks globally. We actually, one of the testimonials that we got during, this came in April 20th from the senior, and the lady, she said, I purchased GrandPad last week for my grandmother who lives in the UK. We live in Australia, and we've been nothing but impressed with the service. We answered all the questions. Said we're now able to do video calls and share pictures. She's said my grandma's only had it for 4 days, but she's already learned how to take pictures, play bingo, do word searches. She calls the tech support, and now we have a chance to see her all the time. So they're in Australia, and grandmother's in the UK. Brilliant. So we've gotten a lot of stories like that. There was another really emotional one from a lady who was in South Africa, and her mother was there in the UK. So we're our partner there, because we really want to have great local partnerships. Our partner there in the UK is a fantastic company called TechSilver. Maybe you know about TechSilver. They're nodding head. And so they help us. So you can learn more about it. You can go to getgrandpad.co.uk and see all about what we have to offer there in the UK.
And you mentioned Tech Silver there, which is a fairly new partnership as far as I'm aware. But are there any other partnerships you can share with us today?
That's what we're focused on in the UK and Ireland is with Tech Silver. They're doing a fantastic job there. We do have here in the United States, we're working with a lot of healthcare companies. So companies like the University of California, San Francisco hospital system, big hospital system. And what's neat is doing research. They're validating for themselves, and then they're doing published articles about how GrandPad is a great tool that lowers the cost of care, which is critical, but improves the quality of life for the senior. So we've got lots of healthcare partners, Prospero, Wellbe, a whole bunch of companies like that are great healthcare providers and folks that really are committed to helping seniors. There's another program here. It's a government program called PACE that the U.S. government works with private companies, and it's called a Program of All-Inclusive Care for the Elderly, PACE for short. And we're working with a bunch of those providers. And what's rewarding for us there is these are seniors that have lots of challenges, maybe have serious financial challenges, and they also have serious healthcare challenges. And we're able to make a real big difference for them.
Well, a huge thank you for coming back on today. But before I do let you go, I've got to ask for anyone listening that would like to find out more information about GrandPad, how they can get involved, how they can try and get their grandparents or senior relatives involved. What's the best way of finding you online and also contacting your team if they've got any of those additional questions, which I'm sure they might have?
Yeah, they're in the UK. Just go to getgrandpad.co.uk. Other parts of the world, you can go to grandpad.net. And we have live chat there. If you like to do live chat, you can just type away, and one of our folks there, either in Ireland or in the US, will answer your questions online. The phone number is right there at the top of every web page, and give that a ring. We're happy to share more. And there when you're on our website, if you hit the buy now button, then it will give you more information about pricing, and we can ship it there. In the UK and Ireland comes from our partner Tech Silver, and they're just great people to work with as well.
Fantastic. Well, I think right now, many people all over the world are missing their family members and seniors that don't have smartphones, don't have Wi-Fi. And like you said, they run the risk of being left behind. And you've got so many feedback stories. We've touched on a few today, but I know there are many, many more. And I always say at the end of every episode, technology works best when it brings people together. But in over, 1,250 interviews, you are one of the few companies that are doing just that and doing it consistently. So a big thank you for coming back on and sharing that story with me today.
Excellent. And if I could just say in closing, I would just ask everyone who's listening, pick up the phone and call a super senior, someone over the age of 75 who's important in your life. Just call them today, call them on the phone. But if you can do a video call with them through whatever means, FaceTime, Skype, hopefully GrandPad is an option, it will absolutely mean the world to them. I know we're all busy and we're all trying to take care of our own lives. But like I said, if you're going for a walk, just ring them up and show the super senior, let them listen to the birds or see the sunset, because it will literally mean the world to them and make a big difference in their life. So I encourage everyone to do that today, please.
Providing our senior relatives with a way to have quick access to FaceTime or a Zoom call, or send them a photo of a children's birthday party, or any of those things that we all take for granted just by picking up our smartphone, is truly priceless. And the fact that Scott said that he has a 106-year-old user really warms my heart. But if we take a step back here and strip back the technology, the app, the tablet, and the ability to have video chats and share photos with each other, I think what Scott has also got right, which so many tech companies forget about or get completely wrong, is that the secret to GrandPad's success is also the human element. That is what they've got right here. And like I said, my GrandPad experience has involved a lovely lady called Joyce, and she's amazing. She rings my father-in-law every single week without fail to see if he is okay. She will remind him if it's low on charge, and if she notices that it's not been used in a while, she'll also just check in to make sure he's okay. But she also chats with myself and my wife too. So much so that over the last 18 months, she's become a genuine friend of the family. So Joyce, if you're listening to this episode, I just wanted to say on behalf of me and all my families, we appreciate everything you do equally as much as the technology that helps us communicate together. And that's kind of the point, isn't it? That's when technology works best. As for everybody listening, I'd love to know how you've kept in touch throughout the lockdown period. And is there anything you're going to be doing differently? And like Scott said at the end of his interview there, if there is somebody out there that's special to you and you are guilty of being too busy, and it's something that we all battle with, please give that person a phone call. Because like Scott said, they will appreciate it more than you will ever know. But keep your messages coming in to techblogwriter@outlook.com. Let me know your experiences, the kind of technology that you've used, and like I said, what you're doing differently. If you want to send me a quick DM on Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, just look for @NeilC.Hughes. And my website is techblogwriter.co.uk, where you'll find over 1,250 podcast interviews, along with ways that you can work with me, whether that be writing your business blogs, thought leadership blogs, or even launching your own podcast. And on that timely note, it's time for me to go give my mother a call now. So I urge you all to do the same. And a big thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.